Welcome back. So I'm still reading the national bestseller, Salvation, Black People and Love by the author Bell Hooks. We're in chapter 8, Loving Black Masculinity, Fathers, Lovers, Friends. Reading. In my memoir of my childhood, Bone Black, the section about my grandfather begins, quote, "His smells fill my nostrils with the scent of happiness. With him all the broken pieces of my heart get mended, put together again, bit by bit," end quote. My mother's father, Daddy Gus, was an incredibly gentle and kind human being. A quiet man with no harsh words. A respected deacon of his church, he bestowed on me the unconditional love that provided me with a psychological basis to trust in the goodness of men. He was not a patriarch, married to Baba, our grandmother, for more than 70 years. He was also present in our lives, in the lives of his children. When he was on his deathbed, he expressed love and devotion to Baba. Oh, this is so sweet. He had been what the preacher called one of the right-hand men of God, a good and faithful servant of the divine. My dad, Mr. Viotis, is a patriarchal man. Like my grandfather, is a respected deacon at his church. He's also a quiet man, but that is where the resemblance ends. My dad is a man capable of harsh words and harsh actions. He was raised in a household where his dad was not present, and he only came to know him fully late in life. Through our childhood, he was a stern protector and provider. Being manly meant that he eschewed any concern with love. According to patriarchal standards, he is, quote, much of a man, end quote. As a parental caregiver, Dad has always conformed to the patriarchal ideal. He has been a present father, parenting 7 children, 6 girls and 1 boy, and always bringing home the bacon. He has been, for the most of our lives, emotionally unavailable. As a patriarchal man, he always held to the belief that attending to house and home, to the needs of children, is woman's work. Now that he's almost 80, Daddy has become more emotionally engaging. With his grandchildren, he's tender and caring, present to them in ways that he was never present to us. Sometimes that's heartbreaking to see parents with your children, parents who were unkind to you but kind to your children. Our brother was from the start a disappointment to Daddy. Like Daddy Gus, our brother is by nature kind and gentle. He's not a man of harsh words or harsh actions. When he liked sports as a boy, he was just not that interested in being a major sports figure. Our father had been a soldier and had gone to war. He had pictures of him playing basketball, of him in boxing rings, pictures of him with his all-black infantry unit. My brother was bad at sports. He was a disappointment to our father. And as punishment, Dad withheld from him affection and affirmation. Children need affection and affirmation. Everyone needs that. In the world I grew up in, adult black males were present in most homes. Like my dad, they were providers and protectors. Mama's brothers were a constant present in our lives and in the lives of their children. They were caring, funny, supportive. Mama loved her father and her brothers. My dad's father, Daddy Jerry, was also a beloved presence in our childhood. We did not know then that he had not been present in our father's life when he was a boy. We knew only that Dad had been raised as the only child of a stern and demanding mother. His childhood had not been easy. He had always worked hard. There was so much diverse black masculinity in the world of our childhood that it would have been impossible for any of us to have a one-dimensional understanding of black life. We knew from experience that some black males were kind and gentle, others cruel and indifferent, that some fathers were present and some fathers were absent. All our segregated institutions were led by benevolent black male patriarchs, men who were respected and admired. I see a lot of similarities in the segregated communities and how I grew up in Jamaica, knowing that black people could have any job, that black men were, diverse. Some, as she said, some are sweet, some are kind, some are not to be trusted. A diversity, but yeah, when the segregation ends and a new thing comes, reading. Coming from this environment, when I reached college at the beginning of the 70s, I was stunned by the way black men were described in novels and sociological and psychological literature. From these books, I learned that black men were irresponsible, lazy, and unwilling to assume responsibility for their families. That even when black men wanted to be providers and protectors of their families, they would not because they were castrated. I can still remember looking up the word castration in the dictionary and mulling over its meaning. Quote, to render impotent by psychological means. My astonishment deepened when I learned that matriarchal black women had been the ones to emasculate and castrate black men. Initially, I found this material amusing because it was so absolutely ludicrous, in no way conforming to my own experience. Initially, it just seemed like the twisted fiction of white supremacy. Our father had always been acutely aware of the way in which white supremacist thinking and action subordinated black men. He let us know early on that the white man did not want the black man to be a man, so he tried to keep him down by denying him jobs, by encouraging him to act like a boy. Mr. Viotis was proud that he was, quote, nobody's boy, end quote. This critical backdrop provided me with the necessary information to interrogate and challenge the material I was taught in college. Clearly, the perspective on black masculinity I was studying had been shaped by racist thinking, by myths and stereotypes. It did not take long for me to realize that those academic discussions of black masculinity based on real-life studies highlighted the experience of poor urban black males and made that the representative norm. In these studies, there was no diverse black masculinity, no wide range of options a black male might choose from to define self and world. And I just want to jump in how urban places like New York will skew the data because of some things that happened in New York. Like in New York, black men could not live in the home when they fell on hard times and needed things like food stamps and cash assistance that other men got and could still remain in the homes. And it was not just places like New York, but I'm speaking of that urban setting, that a place that is seen as so progressive as New York would still have those oppressive things being done to black men. So that's how, like, the father out of a job has a choice of, do I stay in the home and prevent my family from getting help from the government, or do I leave? So you can see how cumulative injustice occur. But instead of looking at the systemic injustice, let's blame the black woman. The men of my father's generation, born and raised in the period of intense racial apartheid, were far more politicized about racism and imperialism than the young black males I met at college. These young men were far more likely to blame black women than white supremacy for keeping the black man down. This was a far cry from the days when Daddy would come home from work and I would hear him greet our black male neighbor who worked in the mines, quote, "Ain't nothing to it, white man running it," end quote. There was no day in Daddy's life and in the lives of his hard-working mates that they were not acutely aware of racial injustice and its impact on their lives. These black men did not see themselves as special victims of white supremacy. They knew it hurt all black people. They had been among the first black men to fight for this country in the foreign wars. They had been treated with hatred and contempt. They were expected to die for a country that would not let them live as men. They knew who the enemy was, and it was not their laziness. They knew that they were not lazy because they worked long hours every day. They also knew that the black women were not the enemy because these were the arms they embraced and nurtured. These were the arms that embraced and nurtured them when they returned home from fighting the white man's war, from working in the white man's world. But something happened, right? Something happened where the black woman is now seen as the enemy of the black man. Or at least that's what they want to tell you on the internet, where people make money from creating these gender wars. But is that really true in real life? I have not experienced that kind of hate in real life from black men, but I don't know. Is that your experience? Please share. Thanks for listening.